Starter evolutions. One of, if not, the most anticipated thing about any new Pokemon game. So much potential for awesome designs, yet equal potential to be disappointing. The pressure is on to make sure they're good. I'm sure we share the experience of playing a Pokemon game and fully evolving your starter, only to be a bit let down. My experience of this was during my first ever Pokemon game, X and Y, which I played fully blind. I chose Chespin and was not thrilled with Quilladin, and when it finally evolved into Chestnut, I remember not liking it much. However, opinions change, and I actually really like the whole Chespin line now. Before we get to each respective final evolution, the thing I'm sure most of you are waiting for, we first have to take a look at the often forgotten part of an evolution line, the middle stages. I like to think of the middle stages as the awkward teenage stage of the starter line, and some of them lean into that a bit. Drizzile, for example, really feels like a moody teenager. He's even got an emo fringe over one of his eyes. And while Drizzile isn't my favourite Pokemon, I appreciate this aspect of him. Now, if you haven't seen my first video showcasing my brand new starters, go watch that first to learn about them before you see them evolve. And while you're at it, you might as well subscribe. I've decided I'm going to show off the evolutions in Pokédex order, instead of middle stages first, then final stages. I nearly made this 2 separate videos, but I think this is more fun. With Prickliz, I wasn't too sure where I wanted to take its middle stage. You can see in my initial sketches, it was just kind of the natural progression, a bigger cactus lizard. It was fine, but I wasn't really feeling it. So I tried giving it a cactus helmet, for reasons I will explain shortly, but see if you can guess where this is going. It's sad to say, but out of all 3 middle stages, I probably like this one the least. I don't hate it, but I feel like it's definitely the least interesting out of the bunch. Which is funny, since Prickliz and its final evolution are probably my favourites. I also really struggled on the name for some reason, and I tried to avoid Cactile for as long as I could, since I feel like there are already 50 different Fakemon with that name. Obviously being a combination of cactus and reptile, but I caved. So Cactile it is, though I am open to suggestions on more unique names if you guys have any ideas. Cactile, the Spike Helm Pokemon. While wearing their helmet, Cactile act tough and aloof, but if they ever lose it, this facade drops and they quickly panic, burying themselves in the sand. Using their arms and legs, along with their tough tail and helmet, Cactile can fully block attacks from all angles, biding their time until they can land a powerful tail strike. With Cactile, I gave it a helmet and its distinctive tail as a fun way to reference wicket keepers, with its tail being the wickets that they keep. Cricket, and sport in general, is a very big thing in Australia, so I knew I wanted at least one starter to be sport themed. This concept came together almost too well. It's definitely my favourite fully evolved starter. I had the large tail locked in from the start to act as a cricket bat, but only when I was finalising the pose for this guy did I think of the detachable tail idea. Now granted, thorny devils can't drop their tails, but many other lizards can. Besides, it's a Pokemon, I think I can take a few liberties. I also thought it would be cool to turn the distinctive false head that thorny devils have into a cactus fruit, which can also be used as a cricket ball. Now admittedly, its pose might be a little more reminiscent of a baseball or softball batter, but for the sake of its silhouette and a nice readable pose, I think I'm okay with that. He's also got a sort of built-in hat, which not only references the helmets worn by batters, but also the baggy green, a special hat that cricket players wear in Australia. I felt fighting type worked best since a bat can also be used as a weapon. Brambash, the thorn bat Pokemon. Their large, spiky tail easily detaches to be used as a weapon. The small fruit that grows on the back of their neck can also be plucked off and hit at enemies. Brambash can be quite rowdy, however they do enjoy recreation, throwing small objects, such as its fruit, at other Brambash to see how far they can hit it. Its name comes from Bramble and Bash, which is also a reference to the Big Bash, a cricket league here in Australia. What do you think? Are those of you on Team Prickliz satisfied? Speaking of Prickliz, I hinted at this final evolution with its tail resembling a cricket ball, but it's pretty subtle. Now it's time for Koalava to evolve, and with its middle stage I had a bit of a jumping off point. Because as you saw in my last video, this isn't the first koala starter I've made. Granted, these old designs aren't great, but it was at least usable as inspiration. I really liked the round, chilled out middle stage of the old one and went a similar route. I also wanted to make this guy a little moody and almost emo, shout out Drizzile, so I gave him some scruffy hair that completely covers his eyes. I decided on Bonfur as a name, being a combination of bonfire and fur, and unlike Cactile, I can say I'm actually quite happy with this design and name. I think it's simple and effective at providing a good transition between the first and final stage. Bonfur, the snoozing Pokemon. Much like Koalava, they spend most of their time napping and munching on leaves. Bonfur's large body acts as a heater during cold nights, with many small Pokemon gathering around to stay warm. It is rumored that you can view Bonfur's dreams by interpreting the shapes of the smoke it creates. With Koalava's final evolution, I had the concept decided pretty early on. I wanted to give it a didgeridoo. If you aren't familiar, the didgeridoo, or yidaki, which is its traditional name, is an instrument from the indigenous people of Arnhem Land in northern Australia, and dates back over 1,000 years. They are made from hollowed out branches of eucalyptus trees, and what a coincidence, the main diet of a koala is the eucalyptus leaf. You can see some of my earlier sketches played with a unique shape for the branch, specifically to look like a smoking pipe, but I felt that it couldn't really look like both without it needing an explanation, and I decided resembling a didgeridoo was much more important. Being a fire type, I also made reference to indigenous smoking ceremonies, which are done for a number of reasons, one of which includes warding off bad spirits. You can probably guess what type I decided to make it. Koldaki, the burning Pokemon. They use a large hollow branch to create a mysterious sound that they use to manipulate fire. They will also blow smoke at the end of the branch, which is said to scare away evil spirits. Koldaki are always in a dreamlike state, yet still remain aware of their surroundings. I really like how Koldaki turned out. His name comes from Kol, but spelt closer to koala, with the second part of his name coming from Yidaki. Are you sticking with Koalava as your starter, or will you wait and see how Plattle turns out? Speaking of Plattle, it's now his turn to evolve. Overall, I like what I ended up with. You can see that I decided on a design much faster than the other middle stages. Expanding on the floaties that Plattle has, Platole now has one around his waist, which I gave its classic stripy pattern, which is also an excuse to add a new accent color, so it wasn't too similar to Plattle. Which, while I do like how this one turned out, I think this evolution line resembles each other the most compared to my other starters, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. The Gen 1 starters exist after all. Platole, the floaty Pokemon. As a Plattle, they spend most of their time in rivers, though once evolved will travel downstream towards the ocean. Platole enjoy peacefully floating on the ocean currents and often are sighted on popular beaches. They are very common partner Pokemon with lifeguards. Much like the rest of the evolution line, the design for Platole's final evolution, Plascade, came together pretty easily. Now admittedly, this concept doesn't quite have as many levels as the other final stages, but I still like how the design turned out. I knew I wanted it to be a lifeguard, which you probably guessed it was going to be, but that's basically the extent of its inspirations. To change the colour palette a little, I referenced the red and yellow swim caps worn by lifeguards here in Australia. I also used the different shades of blue to create a sort of tan line on his chest. While this isn't the most original concept, I still had fun designing it and I think he turned out nicely. Unfortunately, I really didn't know what his secondary type could be. My original plan before I started sketching any starters was this one would be the fighting type, and Brambash would probably be part ground or rock. But after landing on this design, he just looked too nice and fun to be a fighting type. So Brambash became grass and fighting, which I think is the best option for him anyway. And sadly, at least for now, Plascade is a pure water type. Though, while making this video, I did get an idea for a bit of a redesign that would give him a secondary type, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. That might be in a future video. Plascade, the rescue Pokemon. Their powerful arms and legs make them very strong swimmers. and their large tail can not only be used by Plascade as a surfboard, but also as a life raft when rescuing anyone in trouble. They spend their days on beaches, teaching people and Pokemon to swim while staying watchful for danger. Well, there we have it. The starters are done. Now you've seen all the evolutions, has your pick changed, or are you sticking with your original choice? In the next video, we're going to take a look at some of the early route Pokemon that you might see on your journey through the Kala region. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.